go pro, power right on one, pro, power right on one. Ready?
Right!
And go!
Midwest Christian Boys Football Camp was birthed in 1993. We never dreamed it would come what it is today. A benchmark for young men in their life to look at. Man camp. Amazing that it would take to the camp and stick. A place where young men are trained to be men. What a joy to serve with Evangelist Tim Booth as co-directors. 1992 he said, let's have a camp, and never did we imagine that preachers, over 90 preachers, would come and help us to train young men, that God would use football to teach young men how to be men, how to get up when they're knocked down, how to be a team player, how to conquer an area, how to overcome their fears, how to figure something out. How am I going to make this work for me and for my team? To not be a quitter, to take criticism and correction, because that's what makes you better. If that's what makes me better, my attitude is bring it on. I want more. What a privilege to be a part of something like this. I can't imagine what God holds for the future of Midwest Christian Boys Football Camp.
So I shared with Brother Woodward my burden that, man, somebody needs to start a football camp that could teach young men, and if they could get the idea of living for God, and regardless of how difficult things happen, and no matter what comes in life, and learning to take the leadership and hold responsibilities of different positions that they're given. If that could be taught, and that could affect a youth group, and young men go back fired up and take leadership in their youth group, and so the burden was shared with Brother Woodward, and Brother Woodward's incredibly gifted in putting together a program and events, and I didn't know that when I shared it with him, but he was ready to take off with it, and he said, man, it's a great idea. He had played football, and he said, man, let's do it. I said, man, that's exciting. Let's do it. I'm thinking about 3 or 4 years down the road as we put it all together. He said, let's start it this summer. And I said, okay, where can we do it? And I looked around. I said, well, you got plenty of land here. We could develop into fields. And he said, man, we could do this.
Football teaches so many wonderful life traits about getting up when you're knocked down, playing hurt. How many times I've had to go when I had a job to work hurt, and I just handled it. I had to do it. And these boys, we call football camp a benchmark in their lives, where they can have a place to look back and say, yeah, I can do this. I went to football camp, and it was, man, I remember the Friday was tough and I was hurting, but I gritted it out, and we won the Super Bowl, or we stayed and won the game. And you know, life is full of all kinds of challenges that way. Then manhood. We live in a day and age where they're trying to dumb down manhood and take away the aggressive male. I'm shocked that parents are allowing this to happen with their young boys. And listen to me, it's the aggressive young man that takes the garbage out. It's the aggressive young man that does his homework without being told. It's the aggressive young man that stands up for truth and right. Where are those young men today? Well, they're all around us.
I often tell people across the country, where can you send a young man where they're going to be influenced by 70 plus pastors, evangelists, missionaries, assistant pastors, full-time workers, and godly laymen that are sold out to Christ, that they not only see standing up in a pulpit and preaching, but they'll see hands-on, on the field, teaching them, telling them, hey, you got to overcome that. You got to get back up. You got to be able to deal with this. There's going to be a time that you don't feel like going to work. You just got to push through and go to work and take care of your family. You got to be able to stand up and take rebuke and say, you know what, I'll just be a better man because of it, not pout and whine about it. And so many lessons that are so important. We don't allow our boys to backbite each other and think that they need to tell the other one what's wrong with them. That's killing our churches. And they need to let the coach coach. They need to play the position that the coach has chosen for them. Just like we in life need to accept, hey, the will of God. you put me where you want. I don't have to be the big shot. I just want to serve faithfully. And all these lessons that we try to impart to these young men. And thank God for the many, many men and men of God that come and sacrifice their week because they see the burden.
Well, I appreciate football camp. Football camp to me is the greatest camp that I know of about that can help young men to get their hearts right with the Lord and get stirred up about serving the Lord, and then learn how to, to deal with adversity in football camp. That's tough to play in football. You get hit, you get hurt. And, it's just easy to quit these days, but the young men learn not to quit, learn to get back up.
The truth is, it has an unbelievable impact on the boys that come and attend. Even one of my sons came to know Christ here at football camp, and so it's had a great impact on our family.
There's young men that were saved here that are assistant pastors and pastors now. 2 young men I know of that got saved here, called to missions here, and are now missionaries, one of which we support. Everywhere I go, college campuses from California to Indiana to Elgin, Illinois, I go on the campus and I hear, hey coach, boys that were saved, called to preach at football camp in Bible college, studying for the ministry. Coaches have been saved here. Coach in Ohio was at football camp, got saved here. It is the greatest thing for young men that I've seen.
It was amazing how the Spirit of God would do a mighty work, how He would move and how He would change their lives, not just now, but for months and years later. And now as I look back over all of these years, it's amazing to see the boys who began with my kids even coming back like they are. Today, my 2 sons are coaching with me on the blue team.
When they're tired and they're going through difficult things, they learn to just fight through it and keep playing. And that's all about life, and especially about serving the Lord and living the Christian life. So I'm excited to be a part of football camp.
When you stop and think about the uniqueness of football camp, and of course football is just a tool, the real difference maker here is the focus on the Word of God, the power of God, and the preaching services that take place throughout the day. The many preachers that come, I've never been a part of a camp that had so many preachers and missionaries and people involved in the ministry come and volunteer their time to a cause like this.
And football pushes them to the limit a little bit physically. They get into chapel services 3 times a day and they're pushed spiritually. And when they understand that you can exercise past what you believe you're capable of physically, they understand that there's something bigger spiritually as well that they could do. And so that's why I'm involved in football camp. I couldn't imagine a year without it.
And what a blessing it is to see God do a supernatural work in their life that not only meets the need in their life today, but will continue for eternity.
Competition, aggressiveness, these young men will see all of it in these men of God, and yet to see that their heart is far beyond about winning a football game. Even though we want to play good, hard, aggressive football, it's about taking a stand for the Lord and teaching young men to do the same. And so I thank God for the joy and the privilege I've had in these years to be a part of Midwest Christian Boys Football Camp.